Episode 2. In the spring, Nurah and Pin loved to run through the fields at dusk. The new grass was long and wet, and Nurah would go barefoot, eager to feel the cool softness under her soles. Pin would disappear into the grass, muzzle first, sniffing out the field mice, with her orange fur and bushy white tail becoming a barely visible flash in the dimming light. In summer, they loved the taste of cherries from the family orchard, and the cool stone floor under the kitchen table where they would hide from the midday heat. The cooler evenings were spent following Nurah's older brother, Yael, out on patrol along the aisles of fruit trees. At least once a week, the Sandhit brothers would come scrumping with one of the other boys from the village, but more often than not they were sent running, Nurah and Yael pelting them with stones as Pin nipped at their heels. In autumn they loved the harvest songs and the way the hard green pears turned soft and yellow gold. The days were long and the work hard, as even young Nurah was expected to take a break from her schooling and help to bring in the crops of pears and damson plums. By evening she was exhausted and would doze by the fire as the adults sang thanks for the peace and drank small glasses of clear pear brandy. Pin would rest her head on Nurah's lap, eyes half closed and red tongue lolling out the corner of her mouth between her white fangs which glinted in the firelight. All these things Nurah and Pin loved, but most of all they loved what came with the winter. Long evenings, a warm fire, and Father with his dog Beor. Father spent most of the year coming and going, living out in the old wood for weeks on end, tending to the wild places there. The shorter days and colder nights, however, would bring him home for a whole glorious season. After the sun had set and the night closed in, Father would fill his creaking chair next to the fire, light his pipe, and sit there contentedly while Nurah and Mother sang the songs of the old country. As evening wore on, they would turn to stories or idle chat, and Nurah would climb up into her father's lap and refuse to leave. She would lay there, quiet and happy, listening to Yael recite poetry or Doll trying to join in, and all the while Father would stroke her hair lovingly, only stopping occasionally to relight his pipe. When bedtime came, Nurah would shut her eyes tight and pretend to be asleep. Father would sigh, then have to pick her up and carry her to her room. Nurah would press in close to him as he grunted and struggled with her up the narrow stairway. "You're getting too big for this," he would say each evening, and each evening Nurah would hold on to him all the tighter until he laid her gently in her bed, kissed her on her forehead, and tucked her in beneath her covers. Pin would pat into the room, orange fur rich in the candle light, and curl up at the foot of her bed. Door closed and candle snuffed out, both would drift off to sleep and dream of cherry-stained fingers, open fields, and the smell of the rich earth.